Hello and welcome to FPL Malbo. My name's Andy and I've got my usual video for you today. Going to take a look at how I did in Game Week 4 and have a look at my team selection for Game Week 5. I'm not going to do a watch list today. I've got a slightly different idea, mainly because I don't have a huge amount of interesting things to say about new players that I'm looking at. So I thought I'd evaluate the players in my own team, tell you who I'm looking at keeping, who is kind of I'm on the fence about, and who's on the chopping block. Hopefully, if you've got some of those players or looking at possibly getting them in, then you'll find it useful. If you do, then feel free to subscribe to the channel. I welcome it, don't mind at all. And without any more waffling, I'll get straight into the video. So this is how I got on for Game Week 4, 75 points all out, 267 points overall now. It's a red arrow down to 317k, not too terrible a red arrow. I actually thought it was going to be an awful week for me when I started off with no Brentford clean sheet, so 2 for Fleck and 1 for Henry. Trippier, just 1 point. They were very poor. Chilwell, just 1 point. Also, like playing for a team that were very poor. So yeah, a whole 5 points for my entire defence. I was actually at the cricket as well on the Friday, watching the England 2020 match. So I kind of missed the deadline. I thought I had a Stupenham playing, and I was gutted when I heard that that Newcastle had scored late to ruin the Stupenham clean sheet. But turns out I had Trippier in my team, so yeah, a bit of a mistake there. Only cost me 1 point, so that was fine. Moving on to the midfield, it was a late goal from Mbeumo that kind of got me out of the mud there. That was an absolute beaut. 8 points from him. He is just so consistent at the moment. If you don't own him, I think he's borderline essential for his price point. Sterling created a great chance for Jackson, one of the few that it sounded like Chelsea created. Well, it was a sitter really that Jackson missed. So it's easy, I think, to look at Chelsea and Sterling and sort of say, did nothing this game week. It was against one of the weaker teams in the league. We all knee-jerk getting him in. It's time to get him out again. Chelsea's fixtures are still good going forward in the short term. And yeah, I think he gets that assist and it changes the narrative. So he'll be staying in my team for now, but it was disappointing to see him just with 2 points. Saka with 4, and then Rashford and Maddison with 7 apiece. Yeah, them pitching in kind of saved my game week a little bit. And then moving on to the strikers, you've got Watkins, just 2. Again, he missed a really good chance in that Villa game. He's frustrating me a little at the moment. I'm just struggling to commit to a player to bring in, but I'll talk a little bit more about that when I talk about my team up next. And Haaland, I was actually talking to someone before the game, for the Fulham game, and I said that Haaland has replicated his start last season in his first 3 game weeks, so he'll be scoring a hat-trick today, and then he did. I don't think he'll match his output of last season, but the man is just phenomenal. He'll still get an absolute ton of goals. It really is boring to captain him every week, but like I do want to do well at FPL, so I'll take a risk at some point in the season, particularly when rotation comes into it with the Champions League and things like that. Suddenly Salah might look a better option. But yeah, for now, I can't justify it. Haaland is going to be my captain every single week. So from when I made my transfers last week, obviously bringing in Sterling and Trippier, like I said I would, I lost 0.1 million because Gabriel dropped in price. Sterling's actually gone up twice in price since I brought him in. So it's not the end of the world. I wanted to wait until that midweek Chelsea game had gone, which Sterling didn't actually play in, but the last thing I wanted to do was bring in Sterling and then immediately pick up an injury. So yeah, left it late on that. But it means I've got 0.6 million in the bank, and I've got 1 free transfer going forward to work with. So I'll start you off with my keep list. And first of all, it's my two goalkeepers. So I've got Mark Flecken and Matt Turner. I think there's a chance that Matt Turner might lose his place at Forest. Like, they have signed a new goalkeeper. I think he's probably first choice, but it doesn't really make a difference to me. I'm quite happy to play Flecken every week. If I was wildcarding, I think Flecken would possibly still be my first choice. I think there's a few other good options as well. You can consider Pope with fixtures. I think Leno's fixtures look good and he's looked good. But yeah, I think Flecken's very much in the mix. And essentially, I don't want to make a goalkeeper transfer. I think it's a wasted transfer. I know a lot of people own Jordan Pickford, and I think the way that Everton have started, he's probably the only justifiable goalkeeper transfer, I think, at the moment. But yeah, for me, those two are in there because I'm not going to waste a transfer on getting somebody else. If I was wildcarding, then I think I would probably go for Areola as my backup keeper instead of having Matt Turner. But yeah, I'm happy with those two for now, so they'll definitely be staying in my team going forward. Next, we've got my two bench players, and it's quite a similar thing. So I've got Wang Huizhou, who's actually left the club now. He's not any longer playing at Nottingham Forest or in the Premiership, so there is zero chance of him coming on and getting any points for me. So I think Cameron Archer's comfortably the best option now that he's signed for Sheffield United as a 4.5 million striker. And yeah, on wildcard, he'd be what I'd be going for, but there's no way I'm wasting a transfer to just change the person that's going to sit third on my bench every single week. So when I wildcard, I will get rid of him and I'll get somebody else in who's at least got a chance of playing for those game weeks where you suddenly have a ton of injuries and desperation and you need him. But until then, he's sitting in my team because it's a wasted transfer. And it's the same with Jordan Bayer. I actually think none of the £4 million defenders have stood out. So I don't think there's a kind of standout better option. He does have a double game week coming up as well. If you were looking at picking the defender for the double game week, then I think you've got to look at Luton because their fixtures are better than Burnley's in that game week. I don't know. I'll see where I'm at when it comes around. I'm not convinced that I'm going to put him in my team, even though he has 2 matches ahead of my other defenders who have just the 1 match. That doesn't mean I'm looking at selling him. Again, I think it's just a waste of a transfer. So that's the reason that those two will be staying in my team. So next on to the midfielders, and a little bit more exciting. They're not just staying because it's a wasted transfer. They're staying because I think they're fantastic options. Brian Mbeumo, I think I read he's got the highest expected non-penalty goals of any midfielder. So that includes Salah, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, Saka. And he's on penalties as well. So I think he's borderline essential for his price. He's gone up 0.3 million and he's still an absolute bargain. Brentford have started really well. Their fixtures are mixed coming up, but they're certainly not terrible. I think if he's not in your team, he's surely one of the biggest priorities to bring into it. And James Maddison, I think he's the kind of the hub of that Tottenham team. I think he will continue to just pitch in. He was outperformed the last game week. He just got an assist in a 5-1 win. Obviously, saw Son get a hat trick, but I think he's always going to just chip in with that. He will, if they only score 1 goal, there's a good chance that Maddison's, created that chance. He picks up bonus points as well because he's just creating chances for others all the time. He's on set pieces. He may well be on penalties. I think it's probably going to be Son, but it wouldn't necessarily surprise me if it was James Maddison. Got a pretty decent record and has taken him before for Leicester. So yeah, there is no way Maddison is going anywhere out of my team. And if I didn't have him, I think he would be a bit of a priority for me to bring him in. So those two are definitely going nowhere. And finally, it's Erling Haaland. I don't really need to say anything about this. I really look forward to the time that Haaland isn't just a perma captain. I think there's a possibility Champions League starts up soon. We saw last year Haaland got taken off a lot after 60 minutes, occasionally at half time, but he still started almost every single game. And I think for as long as City's fixtures are great, which they are for a few more weeks, and as long as Haaland isn't looking like he's going to be rested completely, yeah, he's going to be starting for me and also perma captain. So next up, let's take a look at the players I'm a little bit more on the fence about. And to start off with, it's my two kind of premium defenders, Ben Chilwell and Kieran Trippier. Now, Kieran Trippier, I only brought in this week, and Newcastle performed poorly and poorly defensively as well. However, I brought him in with a kind of long-term look. I think that Newcastle's fixtures, I mean, they've got Brentford this week, which is not an easy game, but after that, their fixtures really turn, and that's what I've got Trippier in for. I've got him in for that run. So he certainly won't be going anywhere soon, but because of his price, I need the Newcastle defence to perform better, and I need Trippier to start pitching in with attacking returns. It's the only way that he justifies that price. I'm hoping I've got ahead of the curve with his, let's say, his fixture swing. But yeah, if after 3-4 games he's not performing, I mean, for a start, there's way cheaper ways to get into that Newcastle defence. So even if you want to cover the defence, you can get Botman for 4.5 million as soon as he's fully fit again. Yeah, I'm hoping that he'll come back to. He's still on corners. He's still on free kicks. He still gets forward, puts a lot of crosses into the box. So yeah, I need Trippier to return to the Trippier of old. So yeah, I'm on the fence about him, but it won't be for a few weeks. Chilwell, I mean, similar-ish. I haven't just brought him in, but he's disappointing me a little bit. He's so attacking in that Chelsea team, and he's getting tons of touches in the box. He should the kind of chances that he's involved in. I feel like his attacking output should be better. The reason I'm on the fence and not just getting rid of him is that he's getting into those positions, and also Chelsea's fixtures are still good for the next few game weeks. So I don't think he's a long-term hold for me, but I think taking him out with the kind of fixtures that they've got ahead would be a little bit reckless. I think it'd be playing the points and not kind of looking ahead. And I think there's a hole in there still for Chilwell. So yeah, I'm keeping an eye on him, but for the moment, he's certainly going to stay. Next up, and to complete the defenders on the fence, it's Rico Henry. Like I say, this is for my team, and I've got a Brentford double up, and that's my problem. So I really like Flecken as my first choice goalkeeper, and I think there is other options in defence. And Rico Henry is as likely as anyone else to be the one that goes, not because he's performed badly, because I think he's doing all right. And against the tougher teams, he plays as a wing back quite often. They play back 5, and he's so attacking when he plays as a wing back that he's always got a chance of kind of attacking returns. And against easier teams, he tends to play as a left back. Maybe won't get forward quite as much, but then you bring in clean sheets into the equation. So happy to keep him, but it's a difficult team to double up on. I don't think their defence is so good that I want to keep Brentford double up kind of permanently. So yeah, if there was somebody I really wanted, Rico Henry's an easy one to get rid of for me, but equally I'm kind of happy to keep him there for now and see how he does. And to complete the players that I'm kind of on the fence about, we've got Raheem Sterling and Bukayo Saka. Both of them have had good output. I mean, Sterling, you can copy and paste a lot of what I said about Trippier. I've just brought him in, and his first game was against Nottingham Forest, a good fixture on paper, and obviously Chelsea really underperformed. Sterling created a chance for Jackson, a sitter for Jackson, really, which he missed. And I think that changes the conversation if he puts that away. Suddenly, people aren't looking at immediately get rid of Sterling because he's got an assist and, maybe bonus points there as well. But Chelsea as a whole, their attacks, it's definitely not fixed from last season. I think you can see a little bit of progress there. And I still think Sterling is the main man in that Chelsea attack. So I'm more than happy to keep him, same as Chilwell, for the next few weeks whilst the fixtures are good, but he needs to perform because there's loads of good midfield options and he will be an easy one to get rid of if the Chelsea attack and himself continue to kind of underperform a little bit. And Saka, I mean, the only reason that I'm on the fence about Saka is that I don't see him as essential. I think Arsenal have got a huge amount of players that can chip in for goals and assists. We're seeing more of a squad as well. Players like Fabio Vieira have come off the bench and done really well. I don't think Bukayo Saka's place is under threat, but the points can come from anywhere, I think, from that Arsenal team. And yeah, I don't think that Saka's essential. So if I decided I want Salah in, for example, I need to free up some money there, I would be prepared to sell Saka to do that. That doesn't mean that I'm rushing to get rid of him. It just means that he's not essential in my team. I do feel like he's someone that chips in with points regularly. It's good to see he took the last penalty for Arsenal as well, but I don't think he's the sort of player that's going to hit too many, hat tricks. I think he's got one career hat trick for England. I was actually at that game. So yeah, maybe he needs me to see him live to get hat tricks, and without that, he won't get them. But yeah, I think he's more of a good week is 10 points for him rather than a good week being 20 points for him. So I think his price is good, but I don't think he's absolutely essential for me. And so lastly, it's the players that are on the chopping block for me. And to start off, it's a bit harsh as well, but it's Pervis Estupiñán, who he plays for a Brighton team who have looked suspect for me defensively. I think it's not just the defence, it's losing sort of Caicedo and McAllister out of that midfield as well that gives them so much security. And the players they brought in aren't bad at all. They're just maybe either not quite at that level or will take a touch of time to settle in. So yeah, I don't fully trust the Brighton defence, and also their fixtures are looking tougher. So if I was looking to get rid of a defender, like I said, all of the defenders that I've got, I think I'm keeping half an eye of maybe getting rid of if they're underperforming. But if I was getting rid of one this week, it would be Estupiñán. He is so attacking that he can get attacking returns at any point. It's still a decent price as well. I paid 5 million for him. I got him at the start. So he's not essential to get rid of, but if there was a defender that I wanted to get in, I think clean sheets are looking unlikely for him in the next few weeks. And I think that he's not guaranteed of attacking returns so much that he needs to stay in my team. So yeah, he would be the defender I think that would be first for me to get rid of. Next, I've got Marcus Rashford. I think he overperforms the player that he is last year. He was phenomenal, particularly around kind of post-World Cup, just after Christmas. He was playing like an absolute world beater. Season before, he was terrible. And I think he's somewhere between that. He's a decent finisher. He's a very good, dribbler. He's great running with the ball, committing defenders. If I was getting one United attacker or midfielder, attacking option, I would get Bruno Fernandes. And to be honest, if I was wildcarding, I might potentially go with neither of them. I think Bruno's underlying data is really good this season, but it was for a lot of last season, and he underperformed it because United don't take enough of their chances. That's what puts me off Bruno. And Marcus Rashford overachieved on his kind of underlying data for a lot of last year, and I think he's dropped down a little to the norm. That said, he has just moved to the left wing. Started the first couple of games up front. I think he's a way better player on the left wing than he is as that kind of focus point up front for United. So one to keep an eye on, but yeah, same with the Stupinan really. If I was looking to make a midfield transfer, it'd be Rashford that I'd be getting rid of. I think United haven't looked cohesive going forward. They've lost Anthony now for the kind of foreseeable future as well, so I don't know who's going to play on the right of that midfield. Yeah, I think there's concerns over United, and I think that Rashford for 9 million, he's already dropped 0.1 million. Yeah, I can see why people are getting rid of him. I don't know who I would bring in, and it's probably the reason that he's going to survive another week in my team. And lastly, I've got Ollie Watkins. I think I said from week one, really, that I felt Ollie Watkins was placeholdery for me. He's somebody who is a good player. He gets a lot of chances, he gets assists, he gets goals. He slightly underperforms on his XG usually because he's not absolutely clinical as a finisher. And I think we've kind of seen that this season. He got a hat-trick in Europe against Hibs. But aside from that, I think he's got 1 goal and a couple of assists. Missed a good chance again this week. And for 8 million, I think there's cheaper options that'll just pitch him with the same amount of points. I don't think he's a bad option. I just think there's better options. It's another one where I'm struggling to commit to who to bring in. And that's the reason that he's still in my team. But when I do my team selection, I'll talk a little bit more about that. And so that is my team and what I think of the players in it. Let's take a look at my team for the next game week then. So I am very likely to roll a transfer this week. I think the only way I won't roll a transfer is if I have injuries or something like that. I'll talk you through my team and I'll talk you through the reasons why kind of as I go. So in goal, I've gone for Turner. I seem to just consistently get this wrong. I hate having rotating keepers, but when there's £4 million options on the bench, you can't pick a non-playing one over a playing one just to get rid of that conundrum. But yeah, Burnley at home is a much better fixture than Newcastle away, so I'll be starting with Turner. Going on to the defence, it's kind of by default, really. I still don't want to bring in Bayer, even though his fixture's decent against Nottingham Forest and Rico Henry, Newcastle away. So the other three picked by default. Estupinan, United away. I think United will probably score in that game. So I'm hoping for some attacking output from him. But, you know, he's so attacking that there's definitely chances of that. Kieran Trippier against Brentford. I like. Brentford are a tough defence. In fact, they're a tough defence and a decent attack. But home fixture for Newcastle, they've been a little disappointed so far. I don't think there's any issues with Newcastle. I think they've just had tough fixtures and it hasn't quite clicked, really. Really should have beaten Newcastle. You know, they were great against Villa. I think there's a haul coming for Trippier soon. I don't know whether it'll be this week, but I don't mind that fixture. And then Bournemouth away for Chilwell. I don't even mind if Chelsea go back to a back four and he plays as a proper left back. I still think he'll get forward lots. He's getting tons of touches in the box. I feel like a goal or an assist is coming for Chilwell soon. A clean sheet would be nice as well. And the Bournemouth attack hasn't looked great, so there's a definite possibility there. Onto the midfield. And Mbeumo, yes, it's Newcastle away, but he's staying in my team. He's been great all season. Sterling, Bournemouth away, already talked about it with Chilwell, but I don't mind the fixture, so fingers crossed for that one. Saka is playing Everton away. One of those where you wish you had more Arsenal, but the fixtures around it I don't think are perfect for Arsenal, so it's fine. You just cross your fingers and hope that they get a nice 2-0 win and Saka gets both of them. Rashford, Brighton at home. yeah, I like I said for Stupinan, I think United will score in that game, and Rashford's the most likely to score for United. Doesn't mean I think they'll win it, but yeah, I think they'll score. So yeah, fingers crossed for a good return for Rashford. Sheffield United at home, great fixture for Maddison. Watkins, Crystal Palace at home. Villa have looked good in attack at times. The players that I would look at to get in for Watkins, I think, are players I've talked about on my watch list before. Like Alvarez is definitely an option, but I don't think the fixture's that much better than, yes, City are a better team than Villa, but West Ham away for City. Yeah, I don't think that's easier than Crystal Palace at home. Plus, Champions League starting. Alvarez has started the first 4 games. Super Cup and Community Shield as well. If I was looking at him getting a rest soon, I would say that this is an obvious game week, so that he was fit and rested to start the Champions League. So yeah, I don't really want to take the risk. So yeah, Watkins stays and Crystal Palace at home, not a bad fixture. Haaland will be my captain for West Ham away. Yeah, it's probably it is a harder fixture than Saka, who has Everton away, but I won't be changing the captaincy around. It'll just be staying on Haaland. The only player that I thought about for this week was Son, who obviously scored a hat-trick. It's not just him scoring a hat-trick, it's the fact that he played up front. I think on the left wing, most of the time for Tottenham, there's a little bit of rotation, but most of the time their wingers stay wide, and he isn't getting as many touches in the box as I would like for somebody of his price point. But I think as a striker, he suddenly looks fantastic. I think he'll start next week up front. That Sheffield United fixture is a great fixture. I could see Son hauling in it. But then they've got 2 tougher fixtures afterwards. And yeah, we've seen 1 game of him playing up front. It's a very small sample size. Yes, he was fantastic, but I think it's very knee-jerky to bring him in. If you're wildcarding this week, I'd bring him in for that. But yeah, I don't think it's worth the transfers to then hold him through 2 tough fixtures when he could potentially be moved back to the left wing and suddenly be a problem for you. So yeah, this is going to be my starting 11. I am 99% sure, unless I have injuries or such to change my mind. So that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, then give it a like. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think of the little format change, but also what you think of my team and my opinions on some of the players going forward. If you enjoyed the video, then subscribe to the channel. Massively appreciated when you do that. And yeah, see you on another video.